everyone, it is me, Happy Bear. So today we're going to be talking about how to lose everyone by being there for them. Sounds very funny and backwards, right? So this video is going to be focused on the similarities between me and Max from Ginny and Georgia. So I watched season 3. I finished it last night. And I immediately started working on this script. I mean, I don't have a script, but I have notes so that I don't ramble too much like I'm doing right now. But yeah. So during season 3, Max is basically just struggling with all of her friendships. She feels like she's drifting from everybody and like she's just having a hard time connecting. Oh, also, this video is also going to be me explaining how I lost my best friend, because I talked about that in my other video. So now we're finally going to be getting into it, because it's literally the same situation as what happened to Max in season 3. So one way that me and Max are very similar is that, you know, at some point we learned that nobody cares about you as much as you care about them. Especially in season 3, Max learns that not everyone cares for people and their feelings in the way that she does. Like, for example, she considered telling Jenny about her mom running away and stealing the motorcycle and stuff. And Max is almost like over empathetic because she considers everyone's feelings. And she's trying to fix everything and she can't. And that makes her feel like a lot of pain and worry and anxiety. And I feel the same way. Like, I feel like I have to have control over every single situation when in reality you just can't. That's just not how the world works. The facade, that's another one of our similarities. Max is always pretending like she's okay because she has to be, since Jenny's mom is in jail, who's her best friend. Jenny's her best friend. And Marcus is dealing with depression and now addiction in season 3. Well, it started season 2, but it got really bad season 3, right? And she has so much anxiety and she's so worried about everyone else that she forgets to tend to herself. And it's the same thing with me. By the way, we don't use people's real names on here, so these are all code names. I can't have anything wrong with me because Squid is in her problem child era and Sarah is a toddler, so she naturally needs a lot of attention. I get asked if I have problems or if I need help, but I can't take up the offer because I need to be okay for other people. Another way that me and Max are very similar is the way we feel like we need to take care of everyone. We have to be the caregiver. Like, I'm pretty sure that Max is older than Marcus, I believe, and I'm the oldest. So I feel like that's just, especially being an older sister, you're expected to be a second mother and a father sometimes. It's really weird, but hey. Max feels like it's her responsibility to help her brother, even after she told her parents what was wrong with him, because they aren't tending to his needs. They don't realize how serious his addiction is. They keep telling her, oh, we'll handle it in the morning, we'll deal with this later, stop nagging, you're being a bother. But she's just trying to take care of her brother, and people see that as her being annoying. Her mom keeps telling her to watch after Marcus and try to hang out with him, bring him to her social circles, even though, like, that shouldn't be her responsibility, you know? Even though, you know, you're supposed to take care of your siblings, right? That's the right thing to do. Her parents should be looking after him, you know? And she feels like she has to tend to Jenny's feelings, even though Jenny doesn't tend to hers. So another problem that Max has to deal with in season 3, actually no, throughout the whole series, is that nobody takes things as seriously as she does, and they don't take her seriously. The fact that her friends don't consider her being an afterthought as her being left out, because that's exactly what it is. But they're trying to downplay it because they don't want to, you know, accept the fact like, hey, we did leave our friend out, maybe we should apologize to her. Instead they're saying like, oh, you know, we just didn't think of you at the time. I'm supposed to be your best friend. Y'all are going to do something fun. Why am I not? Why is nobody like, you know what, let's invite Max, you know? She's being left out. And also, she told Silver that she was concerned about Marcus's drinking problem. And Silver still enabled him. Silver continued to use her fake ID to buy Marcus alcohol. Is that being a good friend? What type of friend does that? Nobody in my family takes our issues as seriously as I do. They know what's going on, but they're dismissive. And it's really difficult to deal with because even for Max, like, it just makes you feel crazy. Another thing that me and Max both have to deal with is an overly chill partner who's also avoidant. Silver always thinks that everything is okay, even when it's really not. She is also really emotionally unavailable. With me, my ex, Moon, she never wanted to talk about anything like deep or anything a little bit vulnerable. And that's okay, but like when you're like actually in a relationship with someone, I feel like that's kind of the point, you know? Silver ignores Max's messages even though she sees them. And Moon used to do the exact same thing to me. And like she would just be like, oh yeah, I'm cool with not texting for a week. What else did she say? She texted me one time. She was like, I don't want you to think I'm an avoidant girlfriend, but I just don't understand the concept of relationship because I'm arrow ace. Why are you even in a relationship? Anyway, that's a story for another time. They care more about their friends than you when you're supposed to be their partner. I used to ask Moon, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We can go all around the world. I have a car. I have money. We can literally go do anything, right? And this girl, she'd be like, oh, I don't know. I don't really like going places. Then she would be posted up with her friends hanging out somewhere. She would be posted up with her friends doing arts and crafts places. I love doing arts and crafts. I'm your partner. It was crazy. But yeah, me and Max both have to deal with that. So now I'm going to get into like the backstory before we get into my next point, because just so y'all can have like a basis, you know. So Lima is the friend that I'm going to be talking about losing. And Lima and we first met years ago, but we'd only become close friends a year before this whole situation. We bonded over feeling out of place, and we had a lot of strange experiences with the same people. So we bonded over that. We didn't have a lot in common, but we just listened to each other and understood each other. So this brings up my next point. Another thing that me and Max had in common is the dissolve of our friendships, because it basically followed the same prompt. Like, it wasn't the exact same situation, but it was very similar. And that's why, like, when I watched season 3, episodes 9 through 10, and like, I can't remember like the episode where the play happens and stuff, I spent the whole episode crying because I just wish this season would have came out while I was dealing with this situation with my friend. I would have just cut her off. I wouldn't have had to deal with the emotions and stuff. So Max sees Ginny hanging out with Bracia a lot more than her and telling her things before her when they're supposed to be best friends. Max also notices that the two of them are getting a lot closer, but it's something so small that she can't even say anything about it without making herself seem crazy. She also felt like she couldn't compete because Ginny and Bracia bonded over poetry and being black, which are two things that Max can't relate to. For me, I noticed that Lima started hanging out with Justice, a different person, a lot more. This was really strange to me because prior to that, Lima and I joked and gossiped about how Justice cheated on her boyfriend Fogg and how he got back with her pretending like he had a new girlfriend, but it was actually her. I felt like I couldn't compete because Lima uses substances and I don't. And it was difficult for me to find ways to hang out with her that I felt like she would enjoy. Her and Justice drank together, played music together, like all things that I couldn't really do with Lima. And the similarity between those two situations is you feel like there's competition when there isn't, because you're losing control and you just don't feel insecure about the friend you always felt so sure about. Lima and Justice reconnected, but Lima continued to talk crap about her. So I assumed they were fake friends. And I should have taken notice of this, because if your friend talks about their friends to you, they also talk about you to your friends. So for the rest of my situation, then what happened was, Lima would always ask me, do you like Justice? Do you like Justice? And I'll be like, oh, I don't know. Because why would I tell my best friend that I don't like her friend? That's weird. That's mean. But she kept asking me. So one day I was like, oh, yeah, I don't really care for Justice. Please tell me why Lima picks up her phone and immediately starts texting Justice what I just said. And in my head at the time, I was like, I feel like she's texting Justice, but this is my best friend. There's no way she would do that. So fast forward, we're at prom. By the way, Moon, my ex, freaking ruined my prom, bro. She didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to dance with me. She was acting like I was bothering her. And again, that thing of like them enjoying their friends more than you. Like, I'm your partner. What? And then Justice, I was trying to talk to Lima, and Justice was standing there, and she just whipped her head around and ran off. And I was like, that's so weird. I feel like Lima told her I don't like her. So then the next week, the class that Lima and I have together, I was like, did you tell Justice that I don't like her? And Lima was like, yeah, it's no big deal. And I was like, I don't like that she did that. And she doesn't even apologize. So I just ignore her for the next couple days, because I'm going to handle the situation, but I need to deal with it on my own. Also, this is a tip. Like, whenever you're having problems with someone, just take a couple days to yourself and lower your emotions. Because it's really easy. Like, if I had responded to this situation, I would have said a lot of things that I would have regretted to Lima. So just one thing I would have done differently was tell her I'm going to take a break from you for a couple of days. Because I kind of just like ignored her, and I think that's what made her lose her mind. So yeah, maybe just like tell them like, I'm gonna get some space from you for a couple days, but we will handle this later. Because if you don't tell them that you're gonna handle it, they'll just take that as you forgetting about the situation and try to move on. So I removed Lima as a follower because I felt like, for me personally, just seeing people on Instagram reminds me of them, and I need to just forget about you for a second because you really hurt me. Like, my main thing was, if I'm supposed to be your best friend, and that's supposed to be another one of your close friends, why is it okay to break the trust of one friend for the sake of another? And another thing, once we got into like a sort of argument over the situation, she started telling me, oh, I would never sit there and let you talk about my friend. What did you expect me to do? Not tell her? But please keep in mind, you guys, Lima and I talked bad about Justice. And I talked bad about Justice. And she sat there and let me. And she even laughed with me. So then that made me think about, oh, yeah, her friends are probably talking about me. And she's sitting there saying nothing, the same way she lets me talk about her friend. This brings up another similarity between Max and I. People always think you're making things way too serious, even though they are actually serious. Nora, Abby, and Ginny see Max as amplifying the small situation when it just means a lot to her that she feels seen, heard, and secure in her relationships. Even when she had that conversation with Ginny, she said, I just feel like we're not as close as we were. And I'm not okay with that. And Ginny says, maybe we just grown apart and that's okay. And Max says, I don't want that to be okay. And it's the same thing with me and Lima. This situation, I was trying to work it out, right? I was trying to deal with it. But she didn't want to acknowledge her wrongdoings. And She kept trying to call me immature and say that the fact that I removed her on Instagram instead of coming straight to talk to her proves that I don't want to work it out and that I don't want to be friends anymore. And she just kept calling me immature and like basically deflecting from what she did. And she was just way too okay with losing me. And I think that's where I lost her. That's where I was like, oh, you're not my friend. We probably haven't been friends for a long time and I didn't know it, but this is a sign. If somebody's okay with losing you, they don't care about you. If somebody cares about you, the thought of you even being angry at them or the thought of you being disappointed in them will spark something in them. Another thing that me and Max dealt with while losing our friends was needing to work through things while people run away from accountability. Lima avoided my attempts to talk through the situation. I tried to talk to her in the morning that we had another day that we had class together, and she quickly changed the subject in a way that made it impossible for me to bring up the whole situation between us. Then I tried to spend time with her during lunch later that day so we could talk about it in private, and she called it off. Then I tried to pull her aside while she was out in an area on our campus. And, I wanted to pull her somewhere private so we didn't do it in front of other people. And she told me to my face, it was never that serious for me. I love you, Happy. She doesn't do this genuinely. Even though she might actually love me, it was used as a way to pacify me because she wasn't ready to talk about the situation. And she wasn't ready to talk about the situation, not because it was too much for her or anything like that. It was purely because she had done something wrong, and I think she was starting to catch on. But she's never been told about herself. That's what I realized about her. Nobody has ever been like, oh, Lima, you're being a bad person right now. Everybody just stands by and lets her do her thing, which is not good. And I'm not that type of person, and I think she just wasn't ready for that. And I can't be friends with people like that. I need somebody who's mature. Max tried to talk to the girls at the party, but they all brushed her off, and they kept telling her that she wasn't left out, and they felt like they did nothing wrong, but they did. And even them making a group chat without her, that is a common form of bullying that especially women will do. They push you out of your circle, especially when Max was kind of the head of this circle. They push you out and isolate you. It's bullying. That's what it is. And also another similarity that Max and I have, in terms of the way we lost our friends in that whole situation, is that they don't take your attempt at reconciliation seriously at all. Ginny got a kick out of Max's need for approval and Max trying to fix their relationship. And it was the same thing for me. Lima thought it was funny that I removed her as a follower as a consequence for her actions. They know that if they make fun of you just doing what you feel is right, it's going to have a really big effect on you. The way that Ginny and the rest of Meng treated Max left her feeling very depressed. And once people know they have a hold on your emotions, especially manipulative people like Ginny and Lima, they really get a kick out of it. It's fun for them because they're like, wow, you're so weak. I can just do and say whatever and it's gonna do this to you. That's crazy. It's fun for them. It's so weird. Max and I, we always have to make the sacrifices. Max realizes that her friends aren't going to talk about things with her, about the whole situation between them. But she doesn't want to seem like she's nagging, so she settles with letting them mistreat her, and she doesn't bring up the situation ever again. I realized that Lima was never actually going to talk about the situation with me, have a proper conversation. So I decided to just allow her to speak with me, but not actively maintain a friendship, which is not the right thing to do. I should have told her then and there, I do not want to be friends with you anymore. but I didn't, because we always have to make the sacrifices to please other people. So for people that feel like they can relate to Max or I, here's what you can do differently, and here's what I'm going to do differently. Start using, or maybe think about the let them theory a little bit more. The let them theory is that sometimes you shouldn't interfere with things. If people are doing things that are not good to themselves, sometimes just let them, because people like Max and I, we get too emotionally involved. It becomes our own problem, and it's a lot more healthy to just let them. It helps you not get so involved in the situation that you take on the emotional burden. Another thing to do is set boundaries so you don't get too invested in other people's problems. It's important to be there for people, but you have to put yourself first. You're the only you that you have. Friends are replaceable. Deep connections can be created with other people. There's so many people in this world waiting to meet you, so never settle for less. Don't suppress your worry. Talk with people about things and express clearly to them what you don't like and what you're worried about. Because if you don't, they're going to notice that and take advantage of it. Focus on what you can control rather than what you can't. And my favorite thing to do is journal and think through your feelings before you act. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, Pookie.